Initially, I wasn't going to upload today because I felt like taking a break for these past few weeks. But today, on January 29th, we have a very special occasion. We got an official teaser for Astartes 2. I don't think this needs any introduction. Everyone by now has seen the Astartes short film from Syama Peterson, who recently got hired full-time by Games Workshop, I'm assuming. I mean, that's pretty concrete. That's what happened. He recently did work on the Space Marine episode for Secret Level, which looked fantastic. You could definitely tell that he was involved in that. And the quality of that episode, to me, looked equal to or higher than that of Astartes. Syama Peterson's Astartes, though, that seemed to be its own thing, or if it was going to be continued, this is the first time we've heard any official word on it. There was that leaked teaser from Syama's, I think his Patreon, that 30-40 second clip flashing between a bunch of the chapters. That was all we had. But now finally, here's an official teaser. I've already watched it. I'm just gonna go through the whole video and giving my own impressions. I'm only going to go off of what I know of the lore currently. I can name a good deal of Astartes chapters, Heretic and Loyalist, but I'm not going to recognize every single one here. That said, I've got my laptop here, and let's go. First of all, with the logo and this quote in the beginning, that's already the first 10-11 seconds out of a minute 23 teaser. That's a good chunk of your time already just spent to black. It's dramatic and it's suspenseful. I get it. Now, the first shot of this is my favorite shot of this whole teaser. Just this lone marine here looking over a hive city. It's raining, you can see some nightlife. I love seeing this sort of cyberpunk aesthetic crossover into 40K, but it also really gives scale. Everything about this shot just feels so alive. In the second shot here, what I'm assuming is some Marines leading a church, perhaps? I love the look of this. It's like in a missile silo. I could not tell you what chapter those Marines are. Third shot, some more of the Retributors, Syama's personal chapter. The armor that Marine is wearing is interesting. Obviously that's still Firstborn armor, but it has a raised collar, creating a gorget. That there helps protect his neck, which is kind of a, I guess, known weakness in Firstborn armor, at least in this, what is it, the Mark 9? Okay, actually Mark 8 armor. So I was close. Fulton Plasma Gun too. I love the shimmering glow on the heat element of the plasma gun. And this next shot, some Chaos Marines. I couldn't tell you what Heretic Legion that is. Standing in front of, I have no idea. I'm assuming this is a hive city and they're like really high up, just standing on their ship overlooking it, but I really can't tell where they are. It looks like they're about to launch some attack because the dude's raising his arm. Now these next 10-ish seconds we've seen already. This is what leaked initially years ago from Syama's Patreon. These next few shots with Marines rushing out with storm bolters, heavy storm bolters, something like that. Now this isn't exactly what we've seen before. Some of the pickups in between are different chapters of Marines. A neat detail on the gun of this Marine, if you look closely, you can see the number meter going down, telling the Marine his ammo. Okay, these orange and black Marines fighting the Tyranids, I actually still don't know what chapter these they are. They sure are struggling fighting all these Hormagaunts though. The Marine with the sword is missing his left arm, so, you know, certified badass. The Marine behind him that the camera cranes forward to, he's holding his knife alongside his bolter like this to act as a bayonet, which is so sick. And this Marine here that's wasting these orcs and then gets ganged up on. Is that I'm trying to see the emblem on his shoulder. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what chapter that is. Looks like his armor is white and black though. And then sides of the Emperor. That's this shot looking down this hallway, and then the Marine just zooming down it with his jump pack. There's so much momentum in this shot, and he does look kind of funny. I think he's just. This shot is incredible though. It's like it's out of Armored Core, a mech getting launched out of the hangar bay. And here a bunch of orcs. They're definitely outdoors. Can't quite tell much beyond that though. Here's some kind of Imperium warship. I couldn't tell you what class of warship. Doesn't look like it's doing very good. And this is a Blood Angel, I'm assuming, still on the ground while his brothers are flying overhead. I wonder if the warship that we see in the sky of this shot is the warship we saw in the shot previous. We see some Tau. That's really interesting. I have no idea what chapter these Marines are, though. You can even see a dead Tau right beside this pillar. That's nice. And the other one, you see Cloak. That's really cool. Their projectiles are interesting. It's kind of a crystalline sort of projectile. I wasn't expecting that. Now, these, I believe, Predator tanks driving on this highway bridge, that kind of caught me off guard. This feels like a very modern setting for us, but there are these just 40k Predator Space Marine tanks. Kind of feels uncanny to me, but yeah, it makes sense. Of course the Imperium would have roads, there's nothing wrong with that. The second tank in the back there just knocking this downed car over to the side, or vehicle. What chapter are they? I don't know. I don't know if this is a separate scene or if they're just cutting these scenes together to look like they can match. Here we see some more Hormigons getting absolutely wasted from a tank that looks like that's a Rhino. So yeah, definitely two different scenes, but just cut together to look like they can match, which it does. And some more shots of other Space Marines. Got a crowd here getting absolutely mulched by bolter fire. Now this Marine here, now that I'm taking a closer look at this, he looks kind of skinny. His chest is very slender. He doesn't look as bulky compared to some of his other Marines that we've seen him animate. Behind him, however, we see a Dreadnought. Can't help but notice that. A Firstborn Dreadnought, too. Oh, okay. Here we see a Heretic Marine. Don't know what Legion, but he's just putting down a Retributor Marine. And then this shot, I'm not super sure what's happening here. Some Marines are walking in this alleyway. There's some graffiti on the walls. The Emperor forgets. Wow. Some Imperium citizens are losing hope here. I love this side sash that he gives the Marines. You don't see that very often. One of the Marines there is walking with, I'm assuming is a guardsman. They don't look very happy with him. You hear sides of the Emperor having the most immaculate drip with their capes. Here, see a Marine punching this Tyranid, which looks kind of funny. Just seeing his arm go in and out so fast. And then there's this Marine with a white helmet and looks like white war paint over it too. He doesn't look very loyalist. He's plunging his chainsword into, I don't know what that is. I mean, looks human enough. All I see is a metal band around the arm. Could just be some dude. Last thing here is a title card. You see a Terminator with the Inquisition Eye. Is this perhaps a Death Watch Terminator? Yeah. And then Suffer Not the Alien to Live 2026. God, next year? I hope it's early next year and not fall of 2026. 2 years at that point? I mean, with this level of animation, it makes sense. But man, now thinking about what Astartes 2 will be exactly, I can't imagine it's a direct continuation of what we saw in the first Astartes, because that story finished. It wasn't really open-ended. We saw the ending. Sure, the last shot we saw in Astartes was all the Marines standing on different altars, but their different visions that we saw from the Psyker, that was the ending. We saw what happened. They all died. So Astartes 2, what I think it's going to be is an anthology of all these different Marine chapters. Naturally, we're going to see the Retributors again, which I think is great. They're definitely a very interesting, very religious chapter. And I can't help but notice no Ultramarine representation here. There's only other chapters that aren't the Ultramarines. So it's great to see other representation of Astartes. Not only that, Firstborn representation. I didn't see, or I don't believe I saw any Primaris here. So I'm also curious what point in the 40k timeline Astartes takes place in. Firstborn Marines do still exist alongside Primaris. I don't know to what extent though, because not all Firstborn Marines cross the Primaris Rubicon. So your guess is as good as mine. Well, perhaps the Marine that put down that Retributor is a Death Guard Marine, because he has the faceplate for it. But yeah, all speculation. Of course, oh wow, it got dark fast. It's cloudy out there. Of course, I'm really excited to see what else Astartes 2 does to expand 40k lore and give us visuals on a bunch of characters and These armies and factions that we just haven't seen put to animation yet. Or maybe we have, it's just been a long time. And definitely not in this level of detail. Sam Peterson is for sure the best thing that's happened to Games Workshop in terms of adapting their universe. I hope he's involved in Henry Cavill's Warhammer series for Amazon. And now, separate point, now that I brought it up, I hope Henry Cavill's Amazon series is just full CG animated. It does not need to be live action. With how visually intense Warhammer is, not just 40K, but Warhammer in general, it needs to be animated. The only thing that would actually be live action is superimposing the actors' faces onto CG models. So yeah, if for some reason this reaches any of those folks, just make it fully animated. We know it works. Astartes here is a prime example of that. Case in point. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Check in perhaps next week. Yeah, next week. Where from here on out, hopefully I'll be getting back to doing weekly uploads. Thanks for watching and see you next time.